key disruptors today that are affecting the way we test?
There is a tremendous shift towards customer back approach. What I mean is everything that we do is keeping our customers in mind, and an extreme mindset of the product ownership, and the one Scrum team mindset is driving phenomenal change in how we deliver product. And this is where I keep pointing at extreme ownership mindset. Is the Scrum team owns the outcome for the customer. I think days are gone when you have to develop, somebody else has to test, somebody else has to deploy, someone else has to package, to a world where it is evolving in such a way that as a member of a Scrum team, every single member of the Scrum team owns every single responsibility. So if I am a developer or if I am a test engineer, I own development, I own testing, I own deployment, I own support. That's the theme, extreme ownership. That's a disruptor.
How has this changed your team and what did you do?
Great question, Ashok. What it has done to me as a leader of running the platform engineering organization is it made us to reimagine how we do software testing for the platform that we build, which is used by our customers and the application developers. So as part of this journey as a leadership team, we decided that in the context of extreme ownership mindset by the Scrum team, it is best that we transform the quality engineering organization and merge them with the Scrum teams. This required to look at the entire quality engineering organization, find out people who are well versed in functional testing, who are specialized in performance testing, who are specialized in security testing, who are specialized in automation. And as a step-by-step process, we did a shift left of the quality engineering organization and reskilled many of our engineers towards learning the development technologies. And as part of that, we moved one function after the other into the respective Scrum teams. And we gave them about a year to transform themselves into developers. And we provided every training that is needed. At the same time, we also trained the developers to embrace the functional testing concepts. Because if you are owner of a service, you own its unit testing, you own its code review, you own its functional testing too. So what does this mean for quality engineering is half of the quality engineering organization ended up merging with the Scrum team and transforming themselves into developers in a period of 1 year. The remaining half of the team, don't get me wrong, they still stay today as a central organization, but largely responsible for end-to-end and non-functional testing. Having said that, they are not the executors of the end-to-end and non-functional testing scripts. They have transformed themselves to become more of creators of tools, framework, and the scripts that is needed to get end-to-end testing and non-functional testing done. Who executes those? It's the Scrum team.
What's your advice and recommendation for continued growth in this rapidly changing time?
My personal experience as well as way forward for me as a leader of platform engineering organization as well as for the entire team that I have been leading is have a learning mindset. Technology is evolving very rapidly and my 12 years of experience tells me that the general purpose software engineering skill is on its way to becoming extinct. So it is best to develop specialized skills or niche skills, either in the area of test automation or in the area of all non-functional, or what we call it as ELTs testing: availability, security, scalability, performance, vulnerability. And I think it is good to be building specialized skills as opposed to staying on general purpose software engineering skill. You can also become, in addition, domain experts, but in my opinion, the domain expertise also is transitioning to other people who are better at performing those kind of areas, that is needed for the software.
Do you think that I should also be very comfortable with technology as a QA test person?
It is very essential to stay, or at least learn technology. I think those days are gone where you need to know only what the product does. More or less, it was QA, which was known as workflow validation experts, to today, as more and more logic is getting embedded into the middleware, right? You need more code expertise to be able to test the software effectively. One good thing I feel, Ashok, always is during our times in the early 2000s, we were proudly talking about black box and white box testing. The industry has transformed itself from black box to white box today. But those who were able to catch up on white box testing in the early 2000s, they must be reaping the benefits in today's world, because that is much needed today.
What are the new expectations from senior management, and especially product companies today?
Of course, leadership is key, but more than organization and people leadership, I think owning a substantial part of work is also needed. Some part of the organization you can have an oversight, but you must also get your hands dirty by owning an area where there are no managers and you directly own it, because that keeps you grounded and also keeps you develop empathy for your organization as to what they go through. The expectations, here are the expectations. One is be able to understand what your team is going through. Show up in incidents, show up in incident reviews, show up in customer escalations, and also I think as a self-development exercise, keep learning newer technologies. And catch up with what's going on in the industry, and always have the curiosity to look at everything from a metrics-driven approach. I think those are primarily the expectations.
So one final question I have: in this world where technology is rampant, where test people think automation is the solution to everything, and somehow there is this notion of cerebral peace. What do you believe is the role of human intellect in this age?
With the way artificial intelligence and machine learning is coming into the play, my instinct says that there will come a time where a developer doesn't need to write code. You just tell the chatbot, the business logic that you are thinking, it spits out the code. In fact, to some extent, it's happening today, where the template code is ready. You just plug in the business code, right? I think even in the testing world, that is going to happen. Someday automation is going to be so intelligent, and I call it as intelligent automation systems, where you just point the software to, let's take for example a UI automation. You just point it to the URL, it probably captures everything. There is no need for human intervention. And it self-corrects whenever the things change in the website or URL. I think that's where it is coming. So sometimes when we say test automation, we unfortunately focus only on UI automation, whereas a big piece of the world actually is platform automation. Because as companies are transforming themselves to be known as platform organizations in the world, there is more technology on the platform side. I think the human interface on the UI side will minimize itself. And this is where the transformation or the shift that I see, Ashok, is probably focusing more on the back end side, because the front end is going to be driven through mostly intelligent systems, right? So our intervention as quality engineers on the front end side will get minimized over a period of time, whereas on the piece of code, the brain always requires you to focus on code. It is not easy for any computer system or whatever system you build to understand the piece of code and magically write a unit test code, because you understand the code and you can write, the computer systems can write positive and negative test cases, but that may be about 50% of the coverage. The remaining 50% of the coverage on the code comes still through human. I think that is where the intellect is still needed. I don't think no chatbots, nothing will take over.
In summary, you talked about extreme ownership on one side. You talked about the entire notion of going from black to white.
Shift left.
Shift left. And then, of course, at the end, you said, look, UI will kind of go away, and then you will need intelligent people, intelligent thinking to still be around in the back end. And you kind of subsumed at the end, when the ownership came, that, the ownership now is extreme, and you ultimately talked about the notion of meetingless collaboration.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Sudhir. It's very interesting to listen to some of these changes and what they could mean to us. And I'm sure that the viewers will enjoy this and probably learn quite a bit and prepare themselves as they go forward.
Thank you, Ashok.
Thank you so much.